In the early development of my game, I didn't really feel like an actual game developer. That's because I'd always run to YouTube for any and everything I didn't understand. It was hard for me to connect the dots as to how certain variables and references associated with one another. It's a steep learning curve, and I kind of felt unworthy of the game developer title. Since episode 7 of Identity Rebels, I've done a lot. I also made a community poll asking you if I should explain my devlogs in more detail, how I implemented certain mechanics, how things work, and most of you agree that this should be the case. So let's get right into episode 8 of Identity Rebels. Here I'll be talking about how I made this training arena for the AI to run around in. Not only run around, but also pursue me based on a perception sense. They have sight and touch so far. This makes for way more realistic combat scenarios when engaging with AI. I had a lot of fun creating this arena, and I think it's a great testing ground for things like this specifically. So how I did this was with a navigation query, which is a system that once added can present a series of probability tests. These tests, once defined, are what will eventually determine the AI behaviors. And you can add as many tests as you want, depending on how in-depth you'd like your AI to be. I feel like the way I set this particular NPC up is just right. He's smart, proficient, and tough to deal with. At first, he was easy to kill, but after I added an evasion and strafe mechanic to him, he became a problem. I could barely hit this guy, and I kept dying. So I decreased his damage output, made his shots less accurate, and decreased how often he could fire his weapon. And this is cool because it's a way to make different tier level enemies. Obviously, the more I increase their weapon accuracy, the more difficult they become. But the movement alone was giving me problems. If he spots you, it's not that easy to get away from him, because whenever I'd go behind a wall while he was pursuing me, he'd keep coming relentlessly knowing I was behind that wall. Reason being is I have it set up to where the AI loses interest in me if he doesn't see me for 3 seconds. But during that time, he still tries to get to me by any means necessary. This 3-second timer is another aspect that could increase the difficulty of enemy types by actually not even giving them an expiration timer where they lose focus on you. You just have to kill them or get killed yourself. I think I'll do that for abominant enemies only, but still, even with the 3-second timer, this is what the Nomad Soldier did. I remember once when running from him, I went up the stairs, and as he was halfway up the stairs behind me, I jumped down through the other side to psych him out. He didn't keep following me up, but instead ran back down and psyched me out by cutting me off from the other side where I jumped down. Now, I did not program him to do this, but that's the beauty of the navigation query system. It searches for the best probability scenarios based on the situation. In most cases, this makes for an AI that feels like you're playing against a human who's very proficient on the battlefield, and in some cases they actually perform like a bot. But I'm okay with this outcome. I think I do need to add a reload mechanic in order to get a break from him, also a retreat for when he takes a certain amount of damage. This, I think, would really balance it out, so he won't just be shooting at me all the time. What do you think about everything with the combat look so far? I love your feedback in the comments down below. On my previous devlog, I briefly touched on the collector enemy and said he would be wielding an automatic weapon, but I decided that he'd be a melee enemy, one who's very fast and nimble, one that rushes you with speed as his primary advantage. This is how I really wanted the collector to be. As far as the one wielding an automatic weapon, this Nomad Soldier seems more fitting for the role, don't you think? And honestly, when I drew the concept of these characters, it's what I originally intended. I think it's very important to stay true to that. And so far, I've got almost all the Nomad faction ready to be set free to roam no man's land. And that's what I'm most excited about. Because, see, that's the fun part. Building my world. Nobody sees what goes on behind the scenes of game development. All they see is how awesome the characters look running around in the open world and fighting. In fact, that's where I started in the beginning. Building the world without even knowing how to add functionality to it. I had no idea what I was doing, but was so eager to jump into that aspect of development when in reality, that's pretty much the last part of it. I definitely had to get my priorities straight, and so after doing that, I ended up here, where I am now. I want so badly to go back to building the world, and I'm almost there. Seeing all these AI moving around with separate behaviors makes it so much more easy to visualize where this project is going. So this is the phase I'm in now. It started with the Butcher's melee archetype, and now I've moved on to ranged combat, which is a lot different to program, more in depth I'd say. Next, I'll go through the process of classifying more specifically where these enemy types fit, like I've been thinking of having a melee class for every faction. My Discord helped me out a ton with that. The conversation was started and great suggestions were made in that discussion. If you want to be part of that and many more activities within the Identity Rebels Discord, then feel free to join. There, you'll get a lot more detail about the game and a chance to chat with me and others on a regular basis. The link is in the description. This game is really looking promising, and for me to complete this would be an astonishing feat and accomplishment. To say that I've made a game will be crazy. And you know, I actually have visions of this being successful. I appreciate whoever's been here to support me, and I can't wait to see you at the finish line. I'll see you in my next video. Peace.